Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to yet again another fantastic indie creator interview. It's your Cape Crusader Cody, and we are keeping it geekly with our returning guest, Michael Katz. We're here to break down the golden years and everything in between. And man, I had the opportunity to read the chapter 1, and I absolutely love this story. Michael, welcome back to the show. How's everything been since you last been on? I think it was like interview 210, so about 81 interviews since you've last been on, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me back. Everything's been going well. Got a lot of projects in the works, a lot of irons in the fire, you know, in addition to the day job. So it keeps me pretty busy.
I was gonna say you are pretty prolific. Since I've started, we've had you on the show multiple. You're one of the guests who's been on the most. One of the few, and man, very prolific on the scene. You just came off a Kickstarter for the Riot Earp special. How did the fulfillment and everything go for that? Like, how did the Kickstarter end up finishing for you?
It went great. Yeah, we had a pretty solid run, and I didn't have any problems with fulfillment. I just finished the last thing I had to do was send out the commissions from artist Fred Bennis, because they come from Brazil. So once the campaign wraps, then I tell him who he's got to draw. He draws them. They send them from Brazil. It takes like 2 weeks, to get here to America. And then as soon as I get them, I send them out. And I try to send everything out, as soon as I get the materials, because I don't want people to have to wait.
So do you ever have any trouble with like customs, like with it going to and from Brazil?
No, not at all. Brazil's been pretty easy. I send the Riot Earp comics to a lot of different countries. I think the farthest and the most expensive has been in Singapore, which I also had a Fred Bennis commission to send to them too. So that cost me an arm and a leg, but I'm not passing on the extra cost to the buyer. Yeah, I set a standard fee for shipping, whether it's America, Canada, or everywhere else.
Really?
And then if it's over that, that's on me.
So what made you want to go that direction? It kind of seems like, it would be hitting your wallet a little harder than most people would like to see. Yeah,
the first time I did a Kickstarter, I used backer kit to do the postage and all that. And what happens is they charge people after the fact. And I just didn't have a good taste in my mouth about that. I want people to know up front, while they're on the Kickstarter page, exactly what they're going to be paying out of pocket, including shipping. So there aren't too many, foreign customers, so I don't have to worry about it too much. But if it happens, so be it. Yeah, at least this one was like I said, an art commission, so it kind of evens out.
I'll be honest with you too. Now that I think about it, with backer kits, like. That was a thing like a couple months ago when I would just get an email and it would say backer kit and I would just let out a groan. I'm like, man, I thought I was already done with this. Like, enough. So we are here to talk about the golden years. I mean, this has kind of been your baby, right? This has been something that you've been wanting to get out to the public for quite some time.
Yeah. Riot Earp is my ongoing, but the golden years was always intended to be a standalone story. And I originally had created it to be a 5-issue miniseries, but I didn't want people to have to wait 10, 12, 15 months to get a whole story. And I'm probably leaving money on the table by doing it, but what I'm doing is releasing it as a 120 plus page trade paperback.
That is so how many chapters are in that?
Yeah, 5 chapters.
Wow. Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah. I had the chance to read chapter 1, and this is just beautiful. I don't know how much of it you want to talk about. What would you?
We'll play it by ear.
So, just the protagonist, Captain Future. I love just his style. I love just his design, like the throwback to the golden years, right, 1950s, and just what happens to him, like he's invincible, he's indestructible, and the way he's taken down, I thought was just such a clever. And I don't think I've seen that. I've read a lot of comics, and I was like, this is kind of something new, right?
Right. Yeah, it starts out in the 1950s, and I created all the characters myself from scratch. I came up with all the costumes, the power sets, all the names. I wanted to have that golden age feel to the older characters, and then I created characters for this day and age, because he's trapped in suspended animation in 1950 and wakes up in 2023, and I wanted to show that difference in the time periods. And he's got a lot of Superman and Captain America in him. He's kind of a combination of the two. And he's kind of he's similar to Captain America, in that he comes out of suspended animation decades later. But I wanted to really show how out of their element a person like that would be. They never show that in the comic books or in the movies. If you're from 1950, whether you're you could be the least prejudiced person on the planet, but you're not going to be woke like today's standards.
Yes.
And Captain Future comes in 2023, and he puts his foot in his mouth quite a bit, unintentionally, not trying to hurt feelings, not trying to be a jerk, but it just keeps happening, and he's going to learn that things are different, not just the technology, but how people relate to people in 2023.
It's kind of like a grandparent. They're from their own time period. What happened then is totally different than what's happening in their grandchildren. So that's kind of like the way I was kind of looking at it when I was reading it. I thought you just nailed it. Like, all the jokes were just like, Riot Earth felt a little bit more serious, where this one, it felt like you were able to kind of like let loose a little bit with some of the joke and the humor, and you just nailed it so perfect. Like, at one point in particular, it's like, you're gonna hide your identity with that little thing, and it's like, I'm like, dude, this is like perfect. Like, just like all the little callbacks to like kind of like the more humorous side of superheroes.
Right. Yeah, I wanted to deal with certain superhero tropes in the book.
So we see him. He has a sidekick named Freddy. Can you give us a little bit about this duo? I just love this team already, like off the rip. Freddy, like I know I didn't really get a chance to see too much of him, but man, Freddy off the rip, I just loved his humor too.
They're the prototypical dynamic duo. Freddy's the non-powered Robin to Captain Future's super powered Batman Superman hybrid, with that kind of dialogue that you find on the Batman TV show. And they're a great team, but Captain Future is taken away, and Freddy's rudderless without him, and we find out later what happened to Freddy subsequently.
So who is the big baddie of Golden Years? So Captain Future's nemesis.
Right. Well, in 1950, it's Master Mindbender, which it's a very 50 sounding name. And then in the future, which is our present, the main villain is called the Maestro.
Okay.
And there's a connection between the two, the Maestro and Master Mindbender. And again, they have similarities, but differences based on their time periods. And they also have, Cap has a rogues gallery in 1950, which you'll see more of as the chapters go on. because every chapter jumps, back and forth in time. And then Maestro has his own team of supervillains that he taps into. So you're going to wind up with Cap fighting maybe 10 villains in the present.
So now you mentioned going back and forth. An awesome thing about this book is there's two very distinctive like art styles. There's an art style for the 50s and an art style for 2023. And we were talking backstage, and I really don't know how to word this, but it's like it puts you in the golden years and it puts you in the future of comics, like the type of like art and interiors we're used to now. And I was blown away when I flipped that page and I was like, wow, this is gorgeous. Can you give us a little bit about the art team and the creative team behind it?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to do, was have different artists for the different time periods. And the first artist I got was DC Comics Jack Herbert, who does the first two chapters modern day stuff. But he's a very busy guy, and when you're doing indie comics, you're usually at the bottom of the pile. So I had to get someone to fill out the next three chapters, and I was able to get Neto Diaz, who did stuff for IDW in the past. He did a lot of G.I. Joe, and he told me he used the pages he did for Golden Years to get hired by Marvel Comics.
Wow. Yeah. How's that feel? How's that feel knowing that you're great. That's awesome.
Yeah, it feels great. So he started with a couple issues of Thunderbolts last year, and he's now doing Legion of X, one of the X-Men books.
Dude, holy crap.
Not too shabby.
And no big deal.
Yeah. So I had the present day artists. The hard part was finding someone who could do the past stuff. And my editor is Ron Mars, an industry great who's been around for 30 years. I had some thoughts. I ran it by him. He's like, well, I don't really know so-and-so, or so-and-so is too busy, or so-and-so doesn't do freelance stuff like that. And then he had some thoughts. He had some names, some blasts from the past, like Joe Staten and Kerry Gamble, guys like that. And I was like, okay, it's a possibility. But not the big name I was looking for, until he finally came up with Kevin Maguire.
Wow.
Who was he was huge in the 80s with his Justice League run. Him and Keith Giffen and J.M. DeMatteis, I think. And he also did a great Captain America miniseries for Marvel, which was set in the 1940s with Cap and Bucky.
A perfect setup, right?
Yeah, definitely. So I jumped on the opportunity to work with Kevin Maguire because I've been a huge fan of his, and I thought his style would be perfect for the flashbacks, and I think it is.
Man, like our first show when we were talking about Riot Earp to now, would you have ever pictured you'd be working with so many like industry giants like this? Like this is you've like exploded over the last year, Michael. This is impressive, man.
Yeah, it's exciting. But you also pay for it, So the stakes are higher. The stakes are higher. The goal that I set on the Kickstarter. I'm still going to wind up losing money on it, but the idea is to get money back in my pocket so I can continue funding future projects. And the more I get, the better the future projects are going to be. And I've got stuff in the works with name talent and with less recognized talent. Hoping that the more my name is out there, the more people will flock to my work, and I won't need a big name like Kevin Maguire to catch someone's attention.
We have Mama Geekly over on Facebook. That's awesome. I remember the older comics. And to be able to work with one of the greats is a dream. Absolutely. I think right now we will use this opportunity to segue over to the campaign and see exactly what we're funding for today. So this is just what I was talking about earlier, how we have the older like Golden Years look and then like the flash to the present, like right here, was just this in particular, where you see it all pristine and then like it's all dingy, broken down because it's been 50 years, 70 years. Like, I love that so much. So we are looking.
Jack Herbert did that page first, and then Kevin McGuire came months later, and I said, okay, this is what it looks like in the present. Make it nice and clean for the past, and he did a knockout job.
So we are looking at Golden Years, a 120-page superhero graphic novel, a fun-filled tale about a hero trapped outside of his time. Currently at $4,354 of a $6,000 goal with 114 backers and 26 days left to go. So 4 days and already almost funded, man. Holy crap. Congratulations, Michael.
Well, thanks.
This is outstanding.
Yeah, we had a great first 3 days, and it's slowed down as it usually does. So they always say the first few days and the last few days are the biggest ones. And for me, I'm just trying to get things to keep moving upward in the meantime. Yeah,
no, that is still really impressive. Holy crap. So all original complete story with bonus material to be delivered April and May. So right here is a look. Is this the cover?
No, the cover is below, but that is one of the covers. One of the, like I said, it was originally intended to be a miniseries. So I had Kevin McGuire do covers, which will now be chapter pages. And that right there is my favorite piece of art that he did. I love that. Yeah, it's an
gorgeous.
homage to the issue of Thor where he fights Hercules on the cover. Every chapter heading, that page that Kevin did is an homage to a famous comic book. So if you'll scroll down and you'll see the Golden Years cover. It has the text on it. There it is. That's an homage to the Marvel's Secret Wars #1.
Okay, that's awesome. And then we'll take a quick look at some of these previews as well. These were on an image slideshow during our chat, but since we have it a little larger, we'll kind of take advantage of that and just soak in these interiors. These are all so gorgeous. I love, too, in the more futuristic parts of the pages, you could see his veins like bulging through the suit. It's just so, the hyper realism is just gorgeous.
Right. Yeah, so the first issue's got 3 pages by Kevin, plus the cover. And then right here it switches and it gets darker. The color gets, scheme gets darker too. Julio Santos is my colorist, and he also made it a big difference between the 1950s and the 2023 atmosphere.
And this scene right here was so gorgeous too, him punching out.
And that's Philadelphia in the background. This is set in Philly. I wanted to have a different scene than your typical New York City for reasons we get into in the book. But Jack Herbert did a great job of using photo reference to make Philadelphia. And if you scroll down just an inch, the bottom two, the last 2 frames or scenes of Philadelphia. There's a SEPTA, subway station right there, and he's strolling along Broad Street in his outfit.
I love how everyone doesn't think he's wearing pants too.
Yeah, everybody in the 1950s and 40s wore short pants. It was the thing. It was in vogue, and it's weird to us, definitely.
So right here is the link, guys. Once again, be sure to check this out with us. And let's check out some of these tiers. So we have the digital only version for $20, the paperback version for $30, so $10 more, and you can get a physical copy of this. We have
digital,
paperback plus pinup plus cards for $55. So right here's some of those trading cards, and then is that print one of these prints down here?
You get at least 2 prints, that one and that one. And if we meet stretch goals, there will be more prints to come.
Okay. And then we have 65 more, so you can get the paperback plus the Riot Earp package and bonuses. Are those going to be the pinups and the cards?
Yep. And the Riot Earp, you get the 3 issues, which is over 180 pages worth of book.
We have the Strider Nolan sampler, which is going to be, in addition to the paperback, digital, and all pinups and trading cards, you will get 4 books from the Strider Nolan's back catalog. So is this going to be just a random assortment, or?
Yeah, you probably get, let's see, my most recent books, Shadow Seal, which is the nonfiction biography of one of the first Black Navy SEALs. You might get my Christmas book, Barry the Christmas Bat.
Oh, that's so cool.
You might get my own novel, Shalom on the Range. And then we have some other, we have some novels, we have some martial arts, nonfiction, how-to books.
Mm-hmm. And we have some original art too from Nitho Diaz.
Yeah.
So for at 180. And then right here is a look at some of those too. So does he do most of his pages traditionally?
All of them. Yeah, he just does pencils, and he does it all traditional.
And then we also have the Diaz Champagne Original Night Fox book at 190. So in addition to the book, paperback, and digital, and all the bonus materials, you'll receive an original ink pinup by Nitho Diaz's drawing of Night Fox. This is going to also be inked by Keith Champagne, which he was on the show a couple months ago as well.
Last week, I think.
Oh yeah, for his too, but all together for Riot Earp.
For Riot Earp, yeah, because I know he was up. Last week I watched the one with the Switch Electricia, him and Tom Wynn.
Oh my God, he was on one of purposely mispronouncing Tom's name. That was like a game throughout the show.
It's tough because I grew up with a guy named Lee Wynn, and he pronounced it Wynn. Yeah. But Tom pronounces the N in Nguyen. So it's tough.
Yeah, because I remember I was talking to Rob, and I'm like, "Hey, help me out with the," and he's like, "You better get it right, because that's how you get the brownie points." And then I'm like, "Oh, now I'm nervous." Mm-hmm. We have a Fred Bendis commission plus all the extras at $250, and that is it. So holy crap, a heavy hitting.
Fred's commissions always sell out. It costs a little more this time just because the book costs a little more. Mm-hmm. But you get who you want, and he does great work.
No, and this book is absolutely gorgeous. We have Mama Geekly saying, "I like that it wasn't such a drastic change. How characters look back then to now. There's change, but not a drastic one." Yeah. I think the change in like the coloring and just like adding the extra details, like the making them look a little bit more buffer. The veins ripping a little bit more. I think that was just like such like perfect like attention to details to kind of give it that futuristic look compared to the golden years.
Right. Yeah.
So right there. Man, that campaign is gorgeous. After taking a look at it in its entirety, what would you like to say to anyone who might be on the fence about backing?
Don't be on the fence. I mean, look at the level of talent that's involved. And I have Ron Mars edited it. So, the story's good. I got 4 top-notch artists who read the script and were willing to lend their artistic talents. So they thought it was good enough. And then, Key Champagne, who's doing the lettering, is also doing some last-minute editing at the same time. So it's being quality checked on multiple levels. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be it already is a really good project, and people are going to love it.
We have Mama Geekly saying the Foxy Lady is just beautiful. Yeah, she definitely raising some eyebrows there. So, Michael, after going through everything, I mean, you've been on the show a couple times, but at this point, the drill. We always love asking for a little bit of advice, and as someone who's had a handful of successful Kickstarters and just killing it right now, 4 days into it, what would be your single biggest piece of advice for anyone running a Kickstarter for the first time?
For the first time. Don't be afraid to lose money. You can't guarantee that you're going to make a profit on your first book, but it's not a sprint; it's a marathon. And the more books you get out there, the better your reputation is going to be, and the better your return monetarily is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea is to keep going. Say you have issue number 1 of your book as the first Kickstarter. Well, number 2, the next Kickstarter is going to be issue number 2 and issue 1. And then the third one will be issues 3, 2, and 1. And eventually you can do a trade collection,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't have any additional expenses except for printing the book itself then. So you have to be prepared to invest monetarily over the long haul. Otherwise, you're not going to make it. And Kickstarter seems to be getting more and more competitive these days. It's not just us little guys working out of our garages, but you see, some big companies. I just contributed. I just pledged to a project by Boom about the Expanse TV show and novels, a graphic novel based on them. You had Keanu Reeves released his Berserker a couple years ago on Kickstarter. So, it's great because it brings more people to Kickstarter, and it makes the platform more recognizable and more palatable to people. But at the same time, the more people there are, the more competition there is for every dollar.
Yeah.
Me personally, I prefer to buy my books on Kickstarter than in the store.
Can't remember the last time I bought in a store.
Yeah, the quality is a lot different. The types of books are a lot different.
Mm-hmm.
When I was younger, it was easier to be able to afford everything that just came out of the big two, or back then there was maybe First Comics and then Image, but it was easier to collect most of the stuff that was on the shelves. Now there's so much, and the stuff from the big two, for the most part, is just kind of pablum. It's just you read it and it's not filling. Whereas stuff on Kickstarter is definitely a lot more filling. There's a lot of projects that you buy, and they make you think and they make you feel, and that's what I try to do for my own work, is have books that make you think and make you feel and really entertain you more than your standard superhero book would be.
Mm-hmm. And after putting in a couple years of work, you'll have your own Nolan little promo package that you could start doing on Kickstarter. The only way you get that is by putting that work in. So some awesome advice there, Michael. And I think to add on top of that, like a business, you aren't profitable for the first 5 years. The same thing goes with comics. It's almost like hand in hand. Like you got to take a loss to kind of eventually start getting that profit.
Yeah, definitely. You can't be Charlie Stickney or Pat Shand right off the bat. It took them 5+ years to have the gravy flowing in on their projects, I'm sure.
No, absolutely. So everyone watching, right here is the link for the last time. Be sure to check this out. Be sure to back it if you can't. Put it on Facebook and Twitter. Word of mouth is just as important. This has been a lovely Friday. It is time for us to wrap up. I hope you all have an awesome day, but most importantly, guys, keep it geekly.